and gentlemen, welcome back to In Conversation with the Royal Butler, and thanks to a lot of you asking me to do this, today I'm going to talk to you about the future and the line of succession with regards to the British royal family. So as many of you know from the previous conversations, my background, I was a butler to members of the British royal family. I was employed by the Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall, and that role as a butler to their household saw me looking after them, their family, the Duke of Cambridge, the Duke of Sussex, back then Prince William, Prince Harry, and other members of the family, including Queen Elizabeth II, Prince Philip, and all the rest of the members of the family from time to time. So for me, it was a dream come true, because you'll remember from previous conversations, I talked about this ambition, this dream I had to one day work for the royal family. But the thing is, for me, my family were royalties. So I grew up knowing who the royal family were, understanding their roles, what they did. And so when I actually got to work for them, it was amazing to actually get to know them personally, which is it's a huge honour to get to know them personally. And I was going to say, probably not an honour for them to get to know me personally, but equally they showed an interest in the people that work for them or that look after them. So it was a wonderful experience. And it also gave me a wonderful confidence in the future of the monarchy. Now, thankfully, we have got Queen Elizabeth II, who has been reigning for almost 70 years. In fact, next year is a huge anniversary, the Platinum Jubilee, which will see her as a queen for 70 years, which is going to be amazing. I think there's going to be quite a few events planned. There's already a bank holiday being given to people in this country. So, and I'm also going to host, I'm planning on hosting a couple of very special events in London on that occasion. But I say in London, I might even venture a bit further, because in previous times of celebrations, I have even been known to travel the world to host some of these classes or celebration parties. So who knows what will be planned, but I've already got a few things already in the diary for next year, and it's going to be very exciting. Now, of course, the reality is it does make us all start thinking about the future of the monarchy. Now, I, for one, like many of you, hope and pray the Queen will be around for many, many more years. And in fact, her mother lived till she was 102, well, almost 102. It was 102nd year. She got to 101st birthday and in the August, and then passed early the following year. So realistically, the Queen could go on for another 7 years, but even further. I mean, if you think of, there's certain people who walk this earth just now who are over 110 and still very active. So it's obviously, who knows. But on saying that, we don't know if she'd be here in a couple of years. So it's very difficult to kind of say. But I, for one, hope and pray that she is around for quite a few years yet, because she holds everything together. She is the glue within the royal family. She keeps everything together. She keeps it running. She understands everything about the monarchy better than anyone, because she's done it for so long, and she's supported by members of her family, which is obviously their role, and it's what they do. Now, when we talk about the line of succession, that is who's the next king or queen. And quite simply, it's a very straightforward line of succession, if you will, because my former boss, the Prince of Wales, is the future king. And again, I've been asked, what will his title be? Will he be King Charles? Will he be King George? Well, he could go with King George because he has got George in his name, so he can take any of his middle names as the title that he will use as king. So he could be King George VII, or he could be King Charles III, and only time will tell as to what title he decides to use. I think both of them are equally fantastic titles, and as I said, only time will tell. Now, when he becomes king, obviously the line of succession would then mean that his eldest son, Prince William, Duke of Cambridge, will then be the heir to the throne. And then after the death of Prince Charles, or at that point, the king, his son will then become king, and it's possible again he might go with the title of King William, or possibly one of his other titles within his name. And of course, to those of you asking, Prince William, when he becomes king, what would his title be? Well, the title he will pick potentially could be William V, King William V. But again, he's got other names he could choose from, so who knows? But I think he'd be an excellent king. I think he'd be a very good. I think he'd be a very down to earth king. Actually, I think we can see how he is as a person. He's just got a lovely way about him. And then you've got Prince George, who will then become again another King George in the future. The only reason this would change is if something happened to Prince William, or if something happened to Prince George, and then if something, and it also depends on the age, because if they're an adult, then it's a very straightforward process. If Prince George died without issue, it would then pass to his sister, Princess Charlotte. And the reason it would go to the sister, this is a new way of doing things, a new rule, if you like, because the Queen changed the laws of succession, which meant that the female line could not inherit unless there was any other boys. So any male heir would inherit before the female. And it was always said that it was an unfair system, but that's how it was. And the Queen, a few years ago, changed the line of succession and made it possible that even if a girl was firstborn, she would be the Queen. Even if there was 2 or 3 boys after that, it wouldn't skip her. She would be the next in line to the throne. So, as I said, if anything happened to Prince George, it would then automatically go to Princess Charlotte, and then after Princess Charlotte, it would go to Prince Louis, assuming they don't have their own families. So if they've got their own families, then of course then it changes again. But the way it is at the moment, from what we all understand and know, is you've got Prince Charles, Prince William, Prince George, and then latterly, if he has a family, then it will then continue down that line. The other question that I've been asked is, when Prince Charles becomes king, will Prince William become the Prince of Wales? Because that is the title of the heir to the monarchy, for the male side of the family. Because our Queen was never a Princess of Wales. She was always known as the Duchess of Edinburgh, Princess Elizabeth, Duchess of Edinburgh. Well, I say always. After she got married, she became the Duchess of Edinburgh. Before that, she was Princess Elizabeth. So she never held the title as a Princess of Wales, because it's always gone to the male side of the family. Whether that changes in the future, who knows? But that's how it is at the moment. Now, the other part to this is that Prince William will not automatically become the Prince of Wales, because his father has got to give him that title, because even though his father will be king, that is one of his father's titles that he will still hold. And he then has to give that to his eldest son, if he wishes, and at that point, William would then become the Prince of Wales, but only if his father gives him the title and Prince William accepts it, because he could carry on as Prince William, Duke of Cambridge, until the day he becomes king. There's no reason why not, and it has historically happened before in the past. But most likely, the prince, being very traditional, will make sure that when he becomes king, will ensure that his son becomes the Prince of Wales, and of course his wife, Catherine, the Duchess of Cambridge, will become the Princess of Wales. And I should also quickly mention, to confuse things, all the children, George, Charlotte and Louis, who are all Cambridge, will also change, their titles will change over to Wales as well, because that's a higher title. So they will potentially, I'm assuming if this all takes place, then they will all then have the name of Wales, which is exactly what their father, Prince William, and his brother, they were William of Wales and Prince Harry of Wales, or Prince Henry, if you want to be exact. Now, it's also been said that Prince Charles wants to scale the family down. He apparently feels that there's too many branches of the family as it is just now, and because you have got other members of the royal family that you may not have heard of. They've got the Gloucesters, the Kents, Duke and Duchess of Kent, Prince and Princess Michael Kent, and these are all grandchildren of previous monarch, and they all have the title of HRH, and they carry out official duties as cousins of the monarch. Now, I believe that when Prince Charles becomes king, it will change, it will become smaller. You have the Prince Charles as the king. His wife, who at the moment is the Duchess of Cornwall, there's a lot of debate over what she will be called, because many years ago, at the time of their marriage, I believe in 2005, it was said that she would not take the title of Queen, and she would be Princess Consort instead. Now, that's all been apparently taken off the websites, and there's been a lot of speculation that when he becomes king, he will want the Duchess of Cornwall to be his queen. So we might find that is what happens, but only time will tell. I have no idea if that is what will happen. It's possible, and if you're going by the actual rules of the succession of monarchy, that is quite normal. But as I said, it obviously depends on what they decide. And then you have Prince Charles's eldest son, Prince William, Duke of Cambridge, and his wife, Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge, who will then become the next in line to the throne. And as I said, they could then be given the title, might be a year or so further down the line, but they will at some point possibly be given the title of Prince and Princess of Wales. And then they will carry on doing exactly what they do, but obviously undertaking more duties on behalf of his father the king. And then the children, as they grow up, they will obviously go through their schooling, as was the same with their father, and then at some point we'll either see them enter into military service. Who knows? Only time again will tell. But at some point they will then start undertaking official duties as well. And I think that will be the monarchy. The British monarchy will be that simple. I don't think you have all the others that we've got just now. I mean, the Queen's other children, you've obviously got Prince Andrew, who has stood back from duties for obvious reasons. He's no longer carrying out official duties at all. Then you've got Princess Anne, the Princess Royal. Now, she, I believe, will carry on in an official role until she passes. And I think what will happen then is, when she has died, the title of the Princess Royal normally gets given to the eldest daughter of the reigning monarch. So I believe that Princess Charlotte possibly one day could become the Princess Royal. So in my theory, but I think that's what could possibly one day happen. The Princess Royal's title does not get passed to her daughter Zara. It will not go to Zara. It will revert back to her brother, will take the title back, assuming he's still alive, and then he could then issue it or bestow it upon his daughter if he wishes. And again, as far as Princess Anne's family would go, they don't really undertake any official duties. They're very much working royals, if you like. So I think they will continue in the kind of their own roles of what they do. And then you've got Prince Edward, the Queen's youngest, and his wife Sophie, and who are the Earl and Countess of Wessex. Now, apparently, what is supposed to happen is, upon the death of the Queen's husband, Prince Philip, the title of the Duke of Edinburgh actually passed to Prince Charles, and he is going to keep that title, hold that title until the Queen has passed, and then that title apparently it's been agreed, will then go to Prince Edward, who will then become the Duke of Edinburgh, and his wife, Sophie, will become the Duchess of Edinburgh. Now, again, there's been speculation that might not happen, but as far as I was aware, and everyone else was aware, that is and what will take place. But again, only time will tell. And I believe that they, even as the Earl and Countess of Wessex, will carry on some sort of official duties on behalf of the monarch. But I believe that when they stop, their children will not carry this on. And once again, it will phase out all these other branches of the family. So all we will be left with, as I've mentioned, would be Prince Charles, obviously his wife, and then his eldest son and that family. And they will be the British royal family. Should quickly mention, obviously, Prince William's brother, Prince Harry. Now, if he had stayed within the UK and they carried on official duties with his wife, the Duchess of Sussex, it's quite possible that he would have still, or they would have still had a very much an active role with the future of the monarchy. So you would have probably found that they would have supported Prince William and his wife, Catherine. They would have supported them in the roles that they all undertake. And once again, when Prince Harry's father becomes king, you'd have probably found that he would have again supported his father in that role as king. But the fact that they have walked away, they have stood down from monarchy, from the role of a royal, and decided to take this new approach, which I personally do wish them all the best of luck, because I think it's nice that royals today can choose to do what they want. Now, I agree with a lot of you that there's tradition and there's ways of things being done. I completely agree with you, but I also think it's really nice because, bear in mind, I know this chap, I knew this chap, I really like Prince Harry a lot, and he's a very kind, compassionate chap, and I want him to succeed in what he's doing. And I think, who knows, in the future he could still somehow support his brother when his brother's king, you know, with what he's doing. I mean, yes, they're becoming very much celebrities in their own right, but that is the reality of you know, when you're a member of the royal family, there is a very fine line between being a member of the royal family and being a celebrity. And I don't think royals should be celebrities. That's my personal opinion. I think that it's a position that has been, well, we've had royals for centuries. They were never celebrities. They were our leaders, you know, and they at one point they were even our leaders in battle. And today is a very symbolic role. So I think even the Queen would be the first to say that this is not a place for celebrity. You know, they're there to do a job. So obviously Prince Harry has walked away from that, and I don't see that changing personally. And in a way, it's probably made it easier for the monarchy to kind of decide, right, this is how we're going to go forward. This is how we're going to do it. It's going to be a slimmed down monarchy, very few working royals, if you like. And I think that is what's going to help the monarchy survive. I honestly believe that if they didn't do this, I think people are getting very frustrated with every year. I mean, and I'm talking about people within the UK. I think they get quite frustrated with when there's any kind of negative press, or we hear how much money has been spent to fund the royals or certain things. And I do go on different programs to defend them, to explain that they are important for our economy. I mean, do you know they used to, and it's more, but they generated over 500 million for the tourist industry. So, you know, they do generate an awful lot for this country, and they're amazing ambassadors for this country. And I think I'm right in saying a lot of the world envies a British royal family. So I think it's really important that everything is done to ensure that the British public want to continue to have them there doing that role, and for them not to suddenly think, would we be better off as a republic or with a president, which I think would be a great shame. I think that's the one thing about this country, is we're so lucky to still have a royal family. And again, from my point of view, personally knowing them and knowing how passionate and committed they are to doing that, I feel it would be wrong to suddenly to walk away from all that and not to have what we've got. The funny thing is with the future of the monarchy, when we talk about slimming it down, and a lot of people will say, well, that's a shame because it's such a great support for the Queen having all these other royals that do things. This is not unusual. I mean, royals at one time, a royal family at one time, it was not a, you didn't have all these different branches of it. It was very much, there was a core. There was the main part of the family. I mean, even if you go back to the time of Queen Victoria and her husband Prince Albert, they were the Queen and consort, and obviously they had their children, they had their 9 children, and as they all grew up, they all helped undertake royal duties and then married into other European royal families and created this amazing dynasty, if you like, for Queen Victoria. I mean, her children ended up, Queen Victoria, I think, ruled such a huge amount of the planet. And then her children, they went into all these other royal families. So it was quite extraordinary and an amazing achievement. But Queen Victoria and Prince Albert were very much the face of the monarchy. They very much did it with the support of the children. And if you go further back, obviously it was always just the monarch, the wife, and their eldest or the immediate children that were involved in the monarchy. Normally it would be the eldest because they were the future king or queen, and that's how it worked. But I think in the 20th century, obviously that changed quite a lot because the kings of the time obviously had quite big families, and they wanted their families to have active roles, and then they wanted their grandchildren to have active roles, and so you've ended up with the monarchy growing. And then, of course, our Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip, had their 4 children, and the Queen already had her cousins help and carry out official engagements to support her. And then, obviously, her children, then, as they got older, they then undertook official engagements. And now her grandchildren are now undertaking official engagements. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them. And now she's got great-grandchildren. So it is growing, which is a fantastic thing, but at the same time, I think realistically, it has got to be slightly scaled back to the core of what is the monarchy. And when I think of the monarchy today, I immediately think of our Queen, Prince Charles and his wife, the Duchess of Cornwall, and Prince William, the Duchess of Cambridge, and Princess George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. That's what I think of as the monarchy, and I believe going forward that will be the face of the monarchy going forward. And when the Queen, as I said, I hope it's a long time away, but when she's no longer with us, then it will then scale back to just that very small family. And I think that is what will keep the monarchy going. That's why it will survive. And I equally think people will rally around it and support it and want it to continue. That's what I hope and what I feel. There's always been debates about Prince Charles being a good king and if it should be passed straight to Prince William, and would he ever do that? So the first part of this is I believe that Prince Charles would be an excellent king. I mean, I obviously known the man, spending time around him, getting to know him. It sounds like I'm going to break into song, but getting to know him, I can see he will be a very good king. He's very compassionate. He's very caring. He does worry about so many different parts of all walks of life, and he's interested in everything. And to my mind, he's very much, well, he's done the train. I mean, he's the longest Prince of Wales in history. So he's done more than his fair share of training, and I believe that he will fulfil that role beautifully. Obviously, he's not. I don't think he'll have as long a reign as the Queen, but I think based on what he's already done as Prince of Wales, he will use that in order to. I'm sure to make other wonderful achievements and to do things still under that kind of umbrella, carrying on as a king. But the other thing that's really sad is obviously everything that was done as Prince of Wales, a lot of his charities and everything, he no longer can be involved with them because he's no longer the Prince of Wales. Now, it doesn't mean to say he walks away from them, but I think what we will see is he's setting things up to ensure that things continue in his name as the Prince of Wales, and hopefully I think his son, Prince William, will continue a lot of those things for him. I think he will pick up that a lot of what he's done and work with it, carry on with it, which again is why I think he will make his son the Prince of Wales, so that the work that he's done in that role can continue through his son. When I've been asked if he would abdicate, would Prince Charles become king and then abdicate, I really don't see that happening, because we haven't had an abdication since Edward VIII, and that just caused a constitutional crisis. And one thing I'm pretty sure about is Prince Charles would not want to cause another constitutional crisis, especially when they're trying to make sure that the monarchy is popular. People want it to be there, so I don't think they're going to do anything to cause any kind of unbalance. And also, they're very traditional. I mean, Prince Charles the way he'll see it is, why would he want to pass on all that responsibility to his young son when, Prince William's still obviously working out his role as a future king and potentially as a future Prince of Wales. And why would you suddenly, unless he has to be, I mean, if he suddenly had, if something happened to our Queen and Prince Charles and Prince William had to become our king, he would do it. He would step up to the mark and he would do it. But I think from Prince Charles's point of view is, why would you put him in that situation so soon? Why not let him continue to enjoy the time he's got doing what he's doing before he undertakes that? Because it's possible that if the Queen went on, say, for another 7 years, Prince Charles would then be about 80, and then say Prince Charles, I don't know, say realistically he went on for another 10, 15 years, that's another 20 odd years. And Prince William at that point would be, quickly do my sums here, but would be in his 50s, which would probably be an excellent age for him to then take on that kind of responsibility, because he's enjoyed his youth, if you like, and his young adulthood, and then he's maturing into, I'm sure, a very good king. And the same with his wife. It gives them that bit longer to do that kind of training, if you like, especially under his father's watch. So I think it makes sense. So why would Prince Charles abdicate? It just wouldn't make sense unless there was some unforeseen reason that came up and he knew that carrying on in the role would damage the monarchy. Then I believe that any member of the family would then step down without question. But as things stand at the moment, I do not see any reason for that to happen. So therefore, I believe that he will take the role on as the king. I do not think he will abdicate. And when his time comes, it will then pass to his son, and Prince William will then carry on that tradition and be a king. And then Prince William will then have to make his decision about, once again, the title of the Prince of Wales, whether he then passes that on to Prince George. And latterly, at some point, he will also need to make a decision after Princess Anne, Princess Royal, is no longer with us, and that title reverts back to him. He'll then have to decide if he then passes that on to Princess Charlotte. So there's a lot of, as you can tell, there's a lot of things to be discussed. There's a lot of plans to be made. A lot of these discussions may already have taken place, and they may already. The thing about the royal family, it's a very well-oiled machine. I mean, they do plan things well in advance. So you'll probably find that a lot of what we're talking about, what I'm talking about to you today, has already been discussed, planned, filed, everything's been put away, and they know exactly what's going to happen in the future. And as and when it does, we will then, the public then get notified, and it carries on. It's as simple as that. So I think the future of the monarchy, it's going to be quite exciting. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very sad. There's going to be sad times. There's going to be happy times. It's the same as it's always been with the royal family. I think the saddest thing will be when the Queen is no longer with us. That day, like everyone, I dread. But then look at the future. I mean, we have got this wonderful Prince William and his beautiful wife and their family. So, and obviously Prince Charles before that. So, you know, there's a lot going to happen, and hopefully it will all carry on as it does, and the monarchy will continue. I mean, monarchy has been around for over 1,000 years, and the present family, they trace their ancestry back about 1,000 years, and I'm sure possibly it will carry on for another 1,000 years. Who knows? I mean, it's difficult to tell, because so many other countries have lost their royal families, and some of them they've lost them, but they've invited them back, more for symbolic reasons, but still they realise that it is quite special to have a royal family. So it will be interesting to see what happens in the future, but time will tell. I think the other quick thing to mention with the monarchy is it is changing. The Queen was very traditional, as we all know. Prince Charles is traditional, but there's a twist of modernism to him. He does modern things as well. I've even seen him do high fives and fist bumps and things. And he's got a wonderful sense of humour. And then you've got his son, who's very much down to earth and fun. I mean, recently at the football where when England scored a goal and he suddenly kind of started punching the air and jumping up and down, which you'd never seen the Queen do. But that's how it's changing. I mean, it's becoming more acceptable that that's what we want to see from the royals. We want to see that they're like you, like me, but at the same time, they have still got that wonderful, magical side to them, the monarchy part, with tradition and protocols and etiquette. And I think that's something that all members of the family, including the younger members, want to continue. And it will be, the good thing about that is it's something that Queen Elizabeth II will be thrilled about, because she's obviously put down these kind of foundation stones and to ensure that the monarchy continues and survives. And I think she's done such an amazing job, and her legacy will carry on through her son and her grandson and her great grandson. I hope you've enjoyed today's In Conversation. Sorry again about missing last week, but all of you probably know I had a bit of a cold, which obviously put me to bed, so I wasn't able to kind of do any of this. But I'm really glad to be back doing it. I hope you got to see the At Home the other day, where we talked about porcelain in China. And as I said, I hope you've enjoyed today's conversation. And once again, thank you for the comments, the likes, the subscriptions, the suggestions. This talk is thanks to quite a few of you asking for it. So here you go. This is why I've done it. And I'm going to give all of you a very a big shock, because on my lap I have got a dachshund, but it's not Shumba. Shumba's, once again, he's enjoying being outside. It's a beautiful sunny day here, so he's been in the garden. But I have got his wife, as I call her, because this is Sura. There we go, there's Sura. So Sura's actually joined me today. Weirdly, she came in and wanted to come and sit in my lap. So Shumba's obviously told her how good these are, and she wants to join us. I should mention Sura is the mother of the two little pups, for those of you that have seen Quarantine Etiquette. This is the mum, and she's featured, haven't you? You featured in the Quarantine Etiquette. So, what is it about Dachshunds? They either want to kind of lie in the sun or come in here and sleep on my lap when I'm doing the filming. Interesting. Anyway, as I said, I hope you've enjoyed today's In Conversation. I'll be back on Wednesday for the next At Home with the Royal Butler. I mentioned the other week I had a little surprise, something I was going to do at the weekend, and I didn't get to do it. I am going to still try to do it over the next week, so there might be a little announcement, a little special thing that I might do for a bit of fun. And we've also got another little project for YouTube that I'm going to be putting out again over the next couple of days, possibly over the next week. And I think it will make quite a few of you smile. So keep an eye out for these these little things that I'm doing, little extras that I'm going to do, just to hopefully keep you wanting to tune in and enjoy the content. But as I said, until next Wednesday, when I'm back for the next At Home with the Royal Butler, stay safe and have a lovely weekend, and I hope it's sunny where you are and you get to spend some time in your garden. Take care and bye.